Blood West, is it great to be back or what? We ride once more revisiting the fine and beautiful landscape of swampy scenery for the Act 2. Last act ended... What the fuck is this music? Billy!
Oh, fuck. Yes, man.
What the fuck is this music, Billy? This is not Blood West music, Billy. Did you order the Blood West music like I asked you to?
It's Western music, man.
Shut up, Billy! This is West of Loathing music, Billy. You fucking imbecile. God!
It's good music. It's good, isn't it?
Fuck off, Billy. Why must you fail me, Billy? Alright, folks. Thanks to this fuck over here, we're doing the Loathing today. So when I played Blood West last time, I was in search for the background music to the video, and I remembered this game but dared not to take a single track from it, cause this thing needs a video of its own. Fellas, this game is near and dear to my heart. Simple in its presentation and brilliant in its simplicity. If I had to describe this thing in one sentence, it'd be Finding Haha Funnies, which is original name of Finding Nemo because he's a clownfish, haha funnies. Never mind, let's just do the thing. So what is this game? Well, simply, it's a 2D side-scrolling stick-figure RPG with an open-world exploration, multiple story threads, and a very distinct personality. As name implies, West of Loathing is a Western-themed game, but has much more going for it. It's one of those games like Cruelty Squad, unassuming on the surface and yet very, very deep. Okay, that's too psychotic of a comparison, so let's roll back. You have probably seen a fair chunk of games that are based entirely on your reading skills, RPGs that draw you in with story and characters and all that, games where gameplay itself is fairly secondary. Take for example, Sunless Seas. I can't fucking stand Sunless Seas, I don't know why, I just can't. I get bored reading and I get tired of no gameplay loops far too quick to get invested in any kind of story, let alone a game that is 40 to 60 hours long. Which begs the natural question, why is the game that is in core a reading sim suddenly spiked my attention? Well, for starters, it does have a game loop, a turn-based fighting that can be fairly challenging, depending on a few things, and engaging in general. Outside combat, there is also a great writing and world building so common to these type of games, but mainly it's just funny, sometimes hilarious, other times corny, and yet... The game description is the name. What? The description of fuck. The name of the game is description, that's the one. The Loathing conveys a lot through pop-up descriptions that are in a lot of cases humorous in nature. The Wast poster that just appeared there one night, stupid walking perk acquisition, the whole thing really. Donating a book about lockpicking to the orphanage so that orphans could escape. You get the idea, I'm not gonna go through every fun pop-up that this game has. Just, it adds a lot of interactivity to what would have otherwise been plain in nature, which text-based RPGs often are. Really, this is what I think kept me hooked. Entering any selected location, I'd see the weird cowbell or a pile of boards that I assemble into a chest to loot it, some weird quirk or fun interaction like there's a needle in every single haystack in the game. Your partner will give you insights on certain locations. The very act of moving from point A to point B can end in an event or a fight. So, calling this game a reading sim is either disingenuous or inaccurate. If Telltale games are like an interactable movie, this is more like an interactable comedy show with a story and a math and fighting. Don't worry if you're dyslexic, this game has colorblind mode. And do you hear it? This soundtrack rules. Christ almighty is it good. Really helps with the immersion. I don't think about Ennio Morricone on a daily basis unless I watch John Carpenter's The Thing. This is the game that to me sounds like the soundtrack was written by Ennio Morricone in his prime. It's so good. Composer of this game, Ryan Ike, also known as a boom operator, picked those twangy kind of instrument, that whistling, occasional banjo or guitar, really anything that makes you think about Clint Eastwood in a poncho. I don't think it was ever stated, and not a single track is one-to-one recreation of Sergio Leone or Ennio Morricone, but the inspiration is obvious. West of Loathing is one of those games I can mouth strum on demand. It's important to understand that this would not work if the world of Loathing wasn't so rich in details. The story, or at the very least the main story thread of you moving west to select your choice here, is nothing special. A random fella trying to do everything he can to earn a name. I've heard somewhere something like, your world is complete if and when you remove a character, the world does not cease to exist, meaning that the world would just live on even if you weren't there. And that's exactly what happens. If you reach the final destination doing nothing but the main quest, nothing changes. The ending spells that you have made zero impact on the world. But you live as is, no protagonizing here. World is something that you interact with, not the thing that hinges on your existence, like in many other games. And why would you want to just do the main quest and miss out on the best part of the game? There's so much stuff to see out west, so many things you can do out west. You really want to miss out on the hot dog inventor? Or a fort of dead people you can command by just putting a miniature on a tactical table? Or how about a ghost pickle factory? An absolute abundance of wild quests that don't devolve into a fetch and retrieve structure that often will keep you entertained all the way through. And that's not mentioning that this game has 3 fully separate from one another storylines, being race dead, cow demons, aliens, and an additional one if you have the DLC, where they just took this video of Electro Boom and made a location out of it.
I'm gonna shoot you in the head with a shotgun, but as long as the bullets hit you very softly, you won't feel a thing. Wanna try?
There are 3 regions, each with about 20 locations that in principle are the same. You have the ranch, the graveyard, the mine, the cave, the fort, and the random curious one. And in a lesser game it would be a copy-pasted slot made to extend your playtime and nothing more. Not here. No, this game doesn't do that. It rewires every single one of them quote-unquote same locations, making them unique to the point that calling them similar is a disservice to how well they're done. Fort of LARPers who pretend to be soldiers, Fort of the Dead People, Fort of the Cowards that fled and now is infected with goblins. And by the by, goblins in this game are Warhammer orcs that don't want to fight, it turns out. There's a mayor of Goblin Town, there's a goblin jeweler, and there's a time-traveling door, and a big poo, and pile, and the third part has. So the world of Loathing is rich with details, with atmosphere, with characters. Some of the NPCs are written better than a lot of main characters in other video games. For example, Cactus Bill is my best mate. And lastly, I love the accents that NPCs have in this game. You can pretty easily find a thicker southerner next to the common Midwestern fella, next to the goblin spade, next to the drunk horse. But it's a range, and it's impressive how you can write an accent gradient of both sanity and southernness in just plain text. It'd be weird to only talk about Loathing and not show you a short example of what you're getting yourself into. This is a small intro section, no major spoilers you won't encounter in your first hour or even less. Okay, future Johnny here, so I originally recorded a playthrough of Intro Location with me voicing over every line, and it just was too long. It took me 30 minutes just to get out Boring Springs. So I cut it into a separate video, and here I will abridge the beginning 30 minutes just as bullet points. So go watch that if you wish to see that acted out. Okay, back to the thing. You wake up in your room after a dream about selecting your character class. Walking about your domicile, you poke a few things like a pile of wood, bookshelves that allow you to walk very stupid. Then you walk or card wheel outside, talk to your family, and leave the village of Topeka. This is how the game starts. On your way west, you fell out a wagon in the small city of Boring Springs and now in a search for a horse to move westward. A town hostler, or horse-selling guy, is out drinking, so you enter a bar and get in touch with the very essence of the game. You talk to the barkeep. Turns out the town is pretty boring. She tells you about Susie, who lost her family to cow attacks, tells you about the sheriff and his lazy machination, and gives you a quest to fighting. Horace, the town hostler, is here. You talk, you find out his business is down, and he gives you a main quest to get out to the west by finding a horse, either by finding 1,000 meat, and yes, the currency in this game is meat, or by feeding one of the escaped horses some of the homing oats. This is achievable in 5 minutes. Get to the 3 locations, have a few fights, done. You're out to the west. Or you can talk to the sheriff and find out that the gang of criminals is operating around town. Help Cactus Man find his leisure, investigate the basement of the bar, help a grieved widow to move from losing her family, help a veteran doctor to regain her belief in living, find a hard hat, win poker by cheating of some wide-eyed rubes, learn common gobblets, recruit Gary the Goblin as your follower. It's a tiny intro section, and the freedom what you can do is already immense. Meanwhile, you learn that the dead are rising from the graves for no reason, the cow demons appeared out of nowhere bringing hell to the land of the west, and that you are ought to seek for employment near the town of Dirtwater. Interactions are the core of the game. Exploration here is more nuanced than it is in any other game of the genre, and a lot of what you can and cannot do depends on the context of the situation you're in. If you haven't talked to the barkeep, you can't bother Susie. If you haven't seen the graves of her family, you won't get the dialogue options with her. She will just curse at you, and you won't be able to complete her quest line and won't get her as a partner. Same with Doc Alice. If you haven't paid attention and didn't notice the barkeep mentioning Hostler's injury, you won't remember to ask Horace, and if you do ask him, he'll tell you about Doc Alice, who gave up doctoring and only wants to drink, and she only drinks Nurse Whiskey brand. Where is the Nurse Whiskey? It's in the bar basement with the goblin, and the plot twist, this is how you learn Gobblish, by sparing Gary and getting the whiskey without killing him, and then talking to Alice, and here's the Gobblish dictionary you learn and are able to recruit Gary. Or if you have seen Skeletons, you can also convince Alice to go west. You can in fact choose to go along and get some helping hands in other ways. Well, now you get the general gameplay loop. It's more like gameplay spaghetti, more than it is a loop, but you get it. But skipping the story would be quite sad as well, so if you are afraid of spoilers, fast forward to here. So in Boring Springs, you find out that first of all, the hell is loose. In the universe, there was once a holy war between cows and clowns. That it still goes on, just in hell. And rodeos are supposed to be the reenactments of those battles. You find that every ranch out west is trashed in one way or the other, and that the farmers like our lassie Susie here are driven away from their homes by sheer bullshit of their aggression, or just killed. This is the first main side quest that you can start. You can prevent all cows from organizing. Up north, there is a traveling circus that you can find by visiting a suspicious ruined camp. In said circus, you can poke your nose into the cracks of the clownish stories, finding out that there in fact are demon clowns. And Barnaby Bob is a clown Satan, and he tells you that he came here to get cows back to fighting in hell. But his rival Cow Satan says one of those, "No, you can't find me because I ran away, no." You can make a begrudging alliance with the Satan to stick the Cow Satan back into hell, and you can trap the bastard. If you do, it is said that cows didn't come home afterwards, that those that did got slaughtered a second time. Second main side quest is the Necromancer's Lair. You find a lot of forts out west, some occupied, others are dead, and some of them undead. For one reason or the other, the Necromancers tried to raise an army, except that when they tried to raise an army from literal dead army, they just got up and said, "Screw you, we're not gonna listen to a bunch of civilians." You find clues alluding to a few other places that eventually lead you to the pile of buffalo bones. and subsequently to the Necromancer's Tower. Now, the interesting part of this quest is the way to defeat the Necromancer. You can fight through entirety of Necromantic Tower and kill him, or you can choose a pale horse in the very beginning, the Dead Horse. You'll find a special books, or rather 7 special books of Nagash. Oh fuck, I meant 7 books of Harlan Ellison. Books of necromantic teachings that give you Necromancer's abilities. You can play as the Necromancer, and if you become better at Necromancy, also known as I ride the pale horse, so I have the dark forbidden secrets of the Nexmax, you can take the place of the current Necromancer. You can rise one of the buffalo skeletons as your permanent additional partner. But do you remember Alice, the doctor who came to stop necromancers doing? She will give you so much spunk about, but what about your soul, yada yada, when you start learning Nexmax, and will straight up and leave if you replace the necromancer. And she implied that her husband, who she doctored after, died and came back to kill her. You can of course just kill the bastard, or even let Alice do it, and getting to the necromancer doesn't take you becoming one, so you're once again free to do anything you wish. Third main quest is related to the mines. Miners became cultists for some weird reason, and the reason is aliens basically. There is an alien that will destroy all life on the planet unless you can contain him. You have to find and decode alien language in order for you to learn few key phrases that will allow you to work with the terminals at several El Vibrato locations. You can activate meteorological station, you can make a bridge, and you can align power nodes to Roberto containment field. And once it is completed, you get a crown. This one is a bit tedious. You can save a girl from the past and she opens up a bookstore in Dirtwater, so that's the thing. Lastly, the main quest. It's basically a 3-step process for you to get to Frisco. Step number 1 is to clear the mountain pass. You have to retrieve the yearly supply of dynamite from goblins who stole the stash, and there are ways to deal with that. 1. You can buy dynamite from Dynamite Den. You can fight through the Goblin Town. You can talk through the Goblin Town. You can level the Goblin Town. Actually, you can do that even if you already done everything peacefully, you just have to be a sociopath, and Barnaby Bob can give you the dynamite. Exploding the dynamite, you have to fight a giant stone monster and you're through the mountain pass. Next point, you have to build a bridge, but local logging permit is lacking, so the whole expedition is lagging. You have to help the local town with its problems. Alternatively, you can search for El Vibrato Model Bridge. Or if you're a necromancer, you can clear the bone pile and erect the bridge out of bones. That solves that issue. And the last one is Emperor Norton. And most Americans don't know that they had an emperor. Emperor Norton is an actual historical figure. He was a rich man who was struck with misfortune and who went crazy and declared himself an emperor. Mind you, no one actually thought he was a governing unit at any point, but for some time he was a local celebrity. Everyone knew him, some people pitied him, some just thought him funny, but yeah, he was an emperor for a while. Not a joke, go Google that. You can either provide him with a crown, and therefore making him an emperor. You get crowns by either containing Roberto, finishing Necromancer's quest, if you silver your turnip, and I believe there is a gold teeth crown, although I never got it. Or you can fight him, and this is like a double joke, since if you fight him, he plagues you with Norton antivirus. But that is it. Roll the credits. One thing I can say, this game isn't for everyone. It's slow and sort of a one-shot. A one-shot that can take anywhere from 10 to 20 hours. It's very much a story-driven game. And a lot of quests and fun interactions are only fun when you follow them to completion. Taking breaks from this game is somewhat hard in the sense that you forget. Like for example, why am I trying to win a competition of LARPing with some prehistoric nerds? Oh yeah, one of them was a gravekeeper. Why do I need a gravekeeper? Yeah, breadwood problems, correct. And them I need because the breadwood, the logging permit for the railroad. Okay, I did 3, how many are left? You see the train of thought? Like, this quest line is at least like 5 layers deep, and for example something like El Vibrato quest line, ain't no way you're remembering that shit after a 2-day break, let alone something like a week. So yeah, rule of thumb, found a quest, finish it before you stop playing. If you like this kind of RPGs that capture you with its world and you wanna laugh, this is a hidden gem amongst those games. Give it a try, it's on Steam sale fairly often. See you next time, again in the West.